Here we have with us Mr. Mayank Khemka, Managing Director, Khemka Group of Companies. Welcome to Bullion Bulletin and 11th India International Gold Convention. So as you are here, we would like to know more about the trade and overall market from you. After the imposition of 80-20 restriction, how has been the impact on domestic jewelry market, the overall trade scenario and the legal compliance business so far?
I think as we had a session on the representation to government in the morning where I was a panelist, we had recommended specifically, and we are planning to make a note and recommending to the government that this 2080 should go away. Because what has happened is that those guys who have never been any exporter are now being forced to become an exporter because of 2080. A guy who is into trading business, a guy who is a jewelry retailer, he is now forced to manufacture and export jewelry, and then only he can get his domestic supply. So the whole system is flawed. So the suggestion which we gave was to have a license and a quota system whereby an RBI, if it wants to fix in, say 500 tons it wants the gold to come in, it distributes this 500 tons to various nominated agencies and the gold comes in. So the distortion in this market because of this export and the legal complications which it happens because of forcefully exporting goes away, and everyone knows that this is the fixed quota they will get in and the import happens accordingly.
As one of the major players in this industry, how are you looking like if we'll have a better integration throughout the stakeholders, throughout the supply chain, will it help the business?
I think it always does that. You always, if you have an integration with the various supply chain, it always helps. But what is happening is that this 2080 has actually distorted that supply chain, because now you have only very few players who are able to import, and the jeweler who's sitting in a far-flung area, if he's not in the metros, is not able to source any gold because the whole system has been distorted. This has to be brought back by having a proper connectivity system.
Coming to this 80-20 again, government is not in a mood eradicate this system in the near future. So how the industry can tackle with these same conditions?
We fully support the government. That is why we want that the restrictions which are put on the government, we support that. But the form should only be changed, that instead of 2080, we should have a quota system. So we know that the government wants to import 500 tons. We are not saying you increase the quota. We are saying you do it the same way. But the distortion in the market which is there should go away. And we definitely support the government, and in future also we are ready to support the government in bringing the CAT down, because the country is more important to us.
Government has allowed consignment basis imports. So is it helping for the time being?
Government has not allowed consignment basis import. It's still under that 2080 rule, and you can only, whatever you have to import, you have to do it under the same 2080 rule. So 20% you have to export, 80% you have to. So it hasn't opened up the consignment route. That is our demand, that it should open up that consignment route.
They have allowed many banks, private banks also, for imports again. So is it helping?
Private trading houses, I will not like to comment on, because that is in the court, because that I think there is also some ambiguity on that on what parameters have these guys been allowed to import. So I think probably we'll have a court judgment on 23rd September that we'll get the clarity on that.
Coming to gold monetization scheme, government is also planning for that, to float this gold monetization scheme involving players from the industry and the banks. So how are you looking at this? It will help?
I think this gold monetization scheme is very good. Earlier it was not a success because of various reasons which we have discussed. Primarily is that in this gold monetization scheme has to include the jewelers as well, not only the banks, because any normal consumer has most faith in his jeweler. So if jeweler is also allowed to monetize the gold, it becomes really helpful. And second of all, certain restrictions which the banks have to be changed by RBI. Coins which a bank sells, it cannot buy back its own coins. So it should be allowed, at least the gold which it sells in, if that gold is coming back in tamper-proof form, that could be allowed. If he's buying gold in any other form, that he should be allowed to be sent it to a refiner, and so that could be converted into pure gold and he can use it. In this way also, the CAD will come down, because we will not be required to import that extra gold, and that surplus gold which is lying sitting in the country can be used to fund the deficit.
Exchange platform FMC has stopped MCX to float any other new contract after December 2014. Do you think is it going to impact the overall trade in India?
I think it will be. The exchanges, I think, is a very good platform and they should be there because exchanges help all classes of market, whether it's a jeweler, it's an arbitrager, it's a small trader, it's a bullion bank, it is a manufacturer. All classes, even a refiner, all classes benefit from the exchange. There has been, specifically in the MCX case, that there has been certain compliances which they need to fulfill. If they do that, then probably FMC should allow. Otherwise, I think we have other exchanges like NCDX and all which have a gold contract. So I think per se the gold contract should continue on the exchanges. It is very good for the market and that should be there.
What are you expecting in the future from this trade, gold and silver trade, and what about the prices, sir? How are you looking at it, global and Indian both?
I think what we are looking for is, as we mentioned, that probably some duty needs to be reduced, the custom duty on gold, because there's a lot of smuggling happening and that can only come down if the duty is reduced. Some rationalization of this 80-20 scheme, some gold monetization, gold accumulation plan, and in all these ways we can, together with the government, probably reduce the CAD. Regarding the prices, I think we are seeing that right now the bearish trend is continuing, but I'm not too bearish on the gold and I think $1150 in US terms should cap the downside. Next year everyone is expecting from April, May US to increase rates. If that happens, it's always negative for the gold. Next 1 or 2 years, don't look too bullish for gold. It's more on the bearish side.
Some words for this event, 11th India International Gold Convention.
It's an excellent effort. Mr. Srivastav and the whole team is doing it. Every year I come in, the next event is better than the previous event. We are raising the benchmarks very high and I think it's very good for the industry that we have such a concrete conference. World over, it's gained a lot of respect. I can say that it's like the best event for bullion happens, the LBMA world over. I think it's an LBMA of India.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.